What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Step Up Your Sound Game Jam powered by Dolby Atmos and Playcrafting. I'm your host, Holly Peppermint. I am super stoked to be back here with Playcrafting doing another game jam, this time powered by Dolby Atmos, who goes beyond the ordinary listening experience to put you inside the sound of your favorite songs, movies, and now even your games. Dolby is powering this game jam and helping creators bring the next generation of game audio design to mobile devices. Our 5 teams this week have all been challenged to build a game from scratch in only 1 week that leverages the power of Dolby Atmos. They're being asked to create games that not only feature great sound design, but also to put a spotlight on it. So, all of our teams have extensive experience working in game audio, from sound effects to custom musical scores and more, and they will need all of their skills and experience to deliver an amazing gaming experience at the end of the week. In addition to Dolby, this jam is brought to you by Playcrafting. Playcrafting is a game development company that fosters a massive network of developers around the world. We connect developers like the ones you'll meet tonight to exciting new technologies like Dolby Atmos to help generate games and experiences that would not otherwise have been possible. Tonight, we're kicking off our Jam Week, which runs from December 1st to December 8th. Teams have been meeting with Playcrafting and Dolby, participating in workshops, and getting to know the Dolby Atmos Plug-In ahead of an intense week of jamming. Now, before we meet our teams, let's take a look at this video showing off the amazing power of Dolby Atmos. And remember to put on your best pair of headphones to get the full effect.
Welcome to Dolby Atmos. Please put on your headphones. It's a new way to experience sound. Unlike stereo, which is limited to 2 audio channels, Dolby Atmos can manipulate individual sounds in 3D space to position sounds all around you. Sounds can move above you, far away, or right up close. Let's compare. This is stereo. And this is Dolby Atmos. Dolby Atmos can build worlds of sound to tell any story. It catches all the little details, puts you in the center of the action. It sounds just like the real world, and transports you to faraway lands. Go inside the story with breakthrough sound. Dolby Atmos.
Now, that is nothing short of impressive. When I play video games, I know that the most immersive part of my experience is the sound. I cannot wait to see what these teams do with this software this week. Now, it is time to meet our 5 teams of developers, and kicking things off, it's Team Square.
Hi, we are Team Square. We are 4 very good friends coming together, and we always play games together. We come from very different backgrounds, but we all have one thing in common. We love games. I am Nikki. I am an animator and game developer.
Hi, I'm Vivi. I'm a video producer, influencer, and a hidden game designer.
Hi everyone, I'm Eddie. I'm an indie game developer and artist located in New York.
Hi, my name is Long Li. I've been working as a technical artist in our team for over 5 years.
3 words that best describe our team. I think it's creative, it's fun, and without boundary.
Artistic, adaptable, ACGN, that could be the best describe my team.
Passionate, talented, and cute.
Dedicated, hardworking, and chill. Sound design definitely affects the game in different ways. Music tells the story too. It sets a mood. Epic, emotional, uplifting. It makes the story different. And sound effects, it can make the game experience more immersive, and you could use sound effects as a hint because it can draw your attention to the details or make you notice something.
I think it adds a lot of fun and also immersive feeling to the virtual world. It makes you really believe in that world and the characters and the stories that's unfolding in there.
In my opinion, I think the great sound design bring to a game is a memory. For example, The Last of Us, when the theme music is played, I actually bring me a slice of memory of the game itself.
The great sound design make the virtual characters, stories, and worlds feel more real.
So my favorite game soundtrack is Subtate for the Dead Princess. It's from Toho Project. It's a series of indie games.
I have always been in love with game music from Zelda games.
I like the battle theme music of Ryu and Inazuma of the game Genshin Impact. Both are very intense, but with Chinese and Japanese traditional music instruments, it makes the tension different, and you could easily tell which culture it belongs to.
Zelda Breath of the Wild, there are lots of sound elements not only make you feel enjoyable, but also act as a great guiding tool.
I like those weird little scenes that makes funny sounds. Yahaha! From the Zelda games, that's my favorite.
Yeah, there are several games actually. Like for example, in the Crypt of the Necrodancer, the player actually following the rhythm to control their character. So my personal goal during the game will be try out the technology pipeline. It's fairly new to me.
Try to visualize how sound can evoke our characters' most memories.
I am super excited about this new tech, and I plan to integrate this new technology.
I and my team would like to tell a heartwarming story, which is music and sound effects oriented. The sound effects will lead your way to find clues, and I hope to push the special gameplay to the most. I believe it'll be super cool and moves you.
One piece of advice would you give to new creators? As an animator and storyteller, I think find something you love deeply and truly, and believe that someone else also cares about it.
It's okay to be ambitious, but always start from small project. Work and learn step by step to achieve your goal.
Don't hesitate to try new technologies.
There are many game jams that you can participate in. You could try to make something, unleash your imagination, and express yourself through this form of art. That's all. Thank you so much.
嗨，大家好，我是王者荣耀的音频总监邵恩。王者荣耀是由天美工作室群运营研发的竞技手游，在2020年达到了日均1亿的 DAU。我们一直希望能够设计出好的音频体验，提供给广大游戏玩家身临其境的游戏感受。因为物理层面上的一些限制呢，我们其实在以往很难突破手机扬声器的束缚，所以在设计的时候会有意强调重要的声音，同时也会尽力降低其他不重要的声音。保证玩家在游戏的时候能够听到的声音是有信息量的。在 CG 和动画这个领域，我们用手机播放的效果也是相比耳机或者大功率的家庭影院效果有很大差距的。我们也一直在思考如何从技术或者混音的这个层面去优化这个问题。这次我们跟杜比一起使用了 Atmos 全景声的技术，我们先后制作了目标和不夜长安这2个 CG。当玩家在腾讯视频网站上观看我们的 CG 时，就可以听到 Atmos 全景声的效果，哪怕是在手机上都可以。这个感受带来的进步是显而易见的。未来我们有计划开发在游戏中使用 Atmos 的技术，让所有能够支持 Atmos 技术的手机都能够听到相应的沉浸式的游戏音效。在这2次合作中，我们很开心地遇到了跟我们一样的一群研发人员，在致力于给听众打造更好的声音体验。在这个目标上，我们与杜比公司是一致的。未来我们希望进一步探索，在我们新的产品内使用 Atmos 全景声的技术，在声音与 gameplay 结合的层面上做出更多的研发和探索，希望未来能够带给玩家更具沉浸式的声音效果以及次时代的游戏体验。谢谢大家。
Joining us now from Team Square is Eddie. Thank you so much for being here, Eddie. How are you?
Yeah, great. How are you? Nice to meet you.
I'm great. Nice to meet you too. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about your team and get to know you for this jam. So can you please tell us what you're planning to build for this jam?
Yeah, well, actually, we do try to build a like a sound experience narrative game. It's like an interactive narrative story. It's about amnesia, like Parkinson disease. It's because as most of our team member all have relatives that kind of have that disease before. We kind of try to make the public kind of aware what's phenomenal, what happened when your relative has a disease. So it's game about like controlling a character who is a old man has that disease, also a lumberman man. He went to a mountain and cutting off woods, but and then he suddenly forgot everything. He tried to go back home. So the sound will kind of lead them to find each of like different vintage item from his memory to let them recall the way back to home to find his doctor. So basically like a journey of that. Hmm.
I love that. And it sounds like it's a personal
Thank you.
project for you then. So, what makes you most excited about a jam that is centered around game sound?
Yeah, so actually, we have that idea for a long time to making a game like probably lead by sound, but we're always looking for the appropriate technology for that. But before we didn't find any like suitable knowledge to try to fulfill that idea. But after we know like Dolby Atmos that technology, I think they're very suitable for a way to create that immersive experience. So we can't wait to try it out.
Well, we're excited to see what you make with it. We heard a little
Yeah.
bit in your interview about what your favorite game soundtracks are and game sounds. So, what are your musical influences in gaming?
So yeah, we have several games that actually inspire us about the music part. The first one is Journey, actually, because it's also an immersive, interactive story experience. And also another one, my favorite is the called Toho Project. It's like an indie game, but have a series of different subtitles. And in that game, they always use music to telling like story. Also telling some like a culturally background story also. So we like to try it out too. Yeah.
I love that. And then, what are some non-gaming musical influences that inspired you for this?
Yeah, one of my team members' favorite is called it's a band called Secret Garden. They also like telling story followed by their music. Yeah, also for me like Joe Hisashi, like his music for animations is always cute and has a lot of like a very childish and cute style inside it. So also like Jay Cho is a Chinese singer. He has some song like telling story too. So yeah, that inspires us a lot.
It sounds like it does because it sounds like you'll have a very story-driven game. So that sounds
Yeah,
awesome. So
thank
what
you.
are some challenges that you think you'll be facing this week?
I think like making a game in 8 days is always a challenging thing, and we both kind of go through different game jam before, so we like to try it again, especially try out the new technology in this game jam is also challenging. But also I think making a like sound game on iOS and Android, like on mobile device, is also very challenging too. But after we kind of learn the Dolby Atmos technology, we found out actually they can have that kind of that surrounding sound directly on iPhone, even without the headphone. So it's super cool. That makes us very confident about to try to make a game around this. Yeah,
It's important to move into this with confidence. So there
yeah.
will be challenges this week, but I think you all can handle it, and I feel like you will accomplish a lot. What are you most looking forward to accomplishing with your team?
So basically, kind of finish your this idea to make a game surrounding the sound and telling a good story. Also, the story will have some cultural background, but also we want to make the game more nationally, like everybody can understanding what's behind the amnesia and all the stuff. Even our team members like have some Chinese background, we also want to make it national and also like try out this new technology, yeah, to make it possible on iOS and Android. Yeah,
That's the most important thing, right? Getting to play with the new technology.
yeah, always excited.
Well, thank you so much, Eddie, for sitting down with me. I'm wishing you all so much luck this week, and I can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you invite us. Yeah, thank you.
I'm very happy to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much again, Eddie. Now let's meet our next team, Arpeggio.
Hi, I'm Catherine Briniger. I am the team captain for Arpeggio, which is made up of myself, Nick Freeman, Tamara Duplantis, and Clara Perez Fuentes.
My name is Tamara Duplantis. I am the audio lead for our team. I work in interactive musical systems and interactive sound effect systems, dynamic audio.
I'm Clara, game developer, musician.
I think the 3 words to best describe my team would be imaginative, efficient, and collaborative.
Amazing creative superstars. How long have you been working in your craft? So I have been composing music and working with digital audio for about 11 years.
I've been a game developer now for about 4 to 5 years. I'm self-taught. I just picked up Unity and started teaching myself the ins and outs, even if it didn't make the most sense at times.
I've been working in games professionally for about 2 years.
How did you join the team? So Catherine, our team lead, reached out to me and thought I would be great for this project. And so here I am.
Joined the team because Catherine was looking for people to work on.
Great sound design to me brings basically everything to the game. Sound is a very crucial part of selling a space, immersing you in that space. Favorite game soundtrack would probably actually be Shin Megami Tensei 4. Does a lot of just really cool like JRPG, like boss theme motifs and stuff like that.
I'm a really big fan of the Mother series, just in terms of the way that it treats music. So obviously Earthbound and Mother 3, even the first Mother game are all like really big influences on me and kind of the way that I compose and the way that I think about sounds in games.
A personal goal for me during the game, just like making something we're all proud of.
So one, it's just to make something wonderful with this team, because I really admire the work of everyone that I'm working with in this team, and also to make something that is really memorable for its sound and memorable for its music.
This seemed like a really ample opportunity for all of us to get to work together and make something fun and new. One piece of advice I would give to new creators, just experiment. You shouldn't limit yourself to like specific ideas that you think will be marketable or whatever. Just get weird with it.
I would say just keep in mind that it's just like any other job.
I think just really like hold true to your values as an artist and a creator, and about what's really like important for you in the kind of work that you are making.
I am joined now with Catherine Briniger from Arpeggio. Thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me today, Catherine. How are you doing?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're super excited to have you back again for another jam.
Yeah, it's always great to be back.
So I'd love to ask you just a few questions about your team and get to know you all. So can you just start by telling us where you got the name Arpeggio from?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a common musical term. We're actually, since this is like sound oriented and whatnot, we're doing something a bit musical with our projects. So we decided to go with, honestly, just a cool sounding name.
Well, as a lifelong music nerd and former music major, I do appreciate that reference very much. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're planning to build for this jam?
Yeah, so the team and I are working on, we're calling it a musical toy. The idea being that we're going to have, it's like from the perspective of a sick kid in bed looking around their room and sort of imagining like all their toys making music and stuff. And like the key thing is that we have some spiders that are going to be making webs that will also hopefully generate music. So it'll be a fun little thing to mess around with and improvise some jams.
That sounds super charming already. So have you put a lot of planning into this so far, or are you just kind of hoping to see where it takes you as the jam progresses?
So far, we've kind of just been like throwing things at the wall and seeing what sounds or like what sticks and what sounds good. But I think over tonight and tomorrow, we're gonna kind of like rein in our scope and figure out exactly what it is we're gonna do.
That's awesome. So have you, as a team, discussed any other game sound design that you're using as inspiration for this project? Like what has been inspiring you for this?
Yeah, actually, so since we're doing like a musical toy, we wanted to kind of pull some inspiration from other musical toy type things. And one of the key things we were looking at was Electroplankton from the DS. Kind of this like artsy experimental game that sort of flew under the radar, but it's just like a bunch of cute little things that you can tap on the touchscreen and they make different noises. And yeah, so we're kind of trying to play off that sort of interactivity to it.
Right on. So what challenges are you expecting to face in the jam? Because I think we all know no good jam comes without its challenges. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the main challenge is just getting it done. Making a game is hard in of itself. Doing it on a schedule is even harder. But fingers crossed. Hopefully, everything timing wise with audio is okay. That's probably going to be a fun one to figure out. But yeah, looking forward to the challenges.
of course. Does your team have like a specific way they like to address challenges or sort of face things head on? Like, do you have any contingency plans in place?
I think we'll kind of just improvise, much like what the game's about. So if anything falls to the wayside, we'll figure something else out, I'm sure. But we're clinging to the our initial idea as long as it'll take us.
So this is definitely not your first jam. What are you most excited about doing in the next week of the jam?
Honestly, I just really like starting new projects, like getting into the nitty gritty of, setting up all your basic systems and the layout of stuff. And it's like making a puzzle. And I find it really satisfying, when you make the edges of the puzzle and, fill in from there. So it's kind of like that.
I kind of love that analogy, doing the edges of the puzzle and then you fill in the rest of the picture. That's awesome. So we got a little bit of an intro to your team already, and we asked you all what your favorite video game soundtrack is. I wanted to know if there was any game sound effect that comes to mind that always stuck with you from a game, if it was something that made you laugh or something that just got stuck in your brain forever.
I think like the sound effects from like Half-Life 1 are probably just permanently lodged in my brain. It's just like a very specific sound pack, and a lot of them are like royalty-free sounds too, so you'll just like hear them in different things and be like, oh, that's the crowbar. Yeah, it's kind of it's stuck in there. I don't think it's getting out.
It's like the Wilhelm scream of gaming.
Yeah, basically.
You hear it everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. We can't wait to see what your team puts together this week. Our next guest will be Matthew Reyes from Dolby, but before that, let's meet Jackie Lee, a music producer, sound designer, and founder of 8082 Audio.
好，非常开心能邀请到李佳琦老师来参加我们的访问。首先，我们来问李佳琦老师几个问题。8082 Audio 像我们这样的一个制作机构，它主要负责的这个音频的一个任务是什么呢？
我们主要工作是给游戏创作声音，然后我们负责声音的这些音乐音效、语音的资源的制作、风格的设计，然后功能设计，还有这些声音的样本合入到游戏里边去，然后还有游戏缩混啊，方方面面的这些，以及审核的一些工作。
我们的杜比全景声的游戏，对在声音角度上来讲，对于游戏声音有什么样的一个提升呢？
杜比全景声，我觉得首先是一个概念上的提升， 就是我们在做传统立体声的时候，相当于是在一个线上去思考声音。然后有了杜比全景声，相当于我们打开了一个3D 的空间，我们可以在这个空间里边从上至下、从前到后的去表达我们的想法。然后另外在游戏里边，因为我们在游戏里边有非常多超现实的表达，这样的话我们就可以让游戏的声音更有创意，然后我们声音听起来可能更炫酷啊，声音可能听起来能表达某种情绪。就是在我的心里感觉，杜比全景声以前可能我们是束手束脚的一个创作的一个局限性，就是在一个60度开角，我们要完成所有的声音内容在这个里边。现在好给了我们一个大房子，甚至是一个大别墅啊，我们可以在这里边非常自由的玩耍。这是我觉得杜比全景声给我们一个最大的一个思考方式的提升。
随之而来就是如果在玩法上，杜比全景声这样的一个3维空间的一个声音的体现，能给一些不同品类的游戏的玩法带来哪些变化？和以前传统比起来，
变化可以有很多。其实主要是看声音设计师自己的想象力了。当然，我们从简单的来说，我们是可以基于真实去思考的。比如说，我们在这个 FPS 游戏里边，它有杜比全景声就有先天性的优势了。本来 FPS 这样的游戏呢，就是需要听到玩家在你哪边，他从哪边过来，对吧？它会影响到你的生存，对不对？啊，这样的话，杜比全景声当然有非常好的表现。当然，我们现在也有一些这样的作品，我们也体验到啊，它玩得非常好。然后还有就是针对手机游戏呢，有非常多的休闲游戏。其实休闲游戏有很多是类似于界面型的游戏，比如说像消除啊、跑酷啊这样的游戏。虽然说这样的游戏看起来很平面，好像是在杜比全景声并不能发挥什么，但是其实经过我们的深度思考后，首先它可以让声音变得更有趣。比如说一个环绕的效果啊，可以让人觉得一个卡通的声音在你身上转圈以后，你会觉得更快乐。然后还有就是方向，就是这样，当你人声从这边跳出来和从这边跳出来的感觉，然后会让你觉得有很多可爱的元素包围着你，这也是对休闲游戏的一个很大的提升。还有就是对于我们中国特色的游戏，像仙侠类的游戏，我们在中国玄幻仙侠类游戏里边有很多我们神话里边的一些故事的那个表达方式，比如说天外来音是吧？比如说仙女在你头顶上跟你说一句话，或者是我们之前做了一个项目，孙悟空在你头上说，哎，什么大圣来也，在天上跟你说，对吧？你这样的话，我们从杜比全景声就非常好表达这种东西。然后再说还有这些线下游戏里边有很多腾云驾雾啊、魔法呀，它就可以表达的空间啊，这个就可以，对，
非常炫的光影的这种技能，
对，
好，接下来请李老师给我们演示一下您经手过的一些项目的一些声音设计，以案例的形式给我们来展示一下。
那我分享一个飞鸽飞车的一个 UI 设计，比如说一个按钮是在左上角和左下角，你的听感是不一样的。然后还有比如说打开某一个界面，以前是一个物体过去了，现在我们就从左到右，其实是从极左到极右，正左一个这样的方向过来，
一个曲线的，
对，一个曲线的感觉，对，这个感觉你空间被拉宽了，然后
穿着做直线，
对，声音感觉跳出了屏幕，对，这样给人的感受是一个更强的冲击。然后还有就是比如说玩家的赛车的升级啊，然后它的宠物的升级，我们在美术方面会做非常强的特效啊，比如说它变成一个火箭的方式啪升起来，然后它的车要进行一个360度的展示，这样的话我们就可以让声音转起来啊，这个感觉非常好。它不只是像环绕声一样的这样转起来，它可以转上去，然后再转下来。对，这个就是在玩家在界面上，他就会感觉哦，这个很不一样啊，它和别的游戏很不一样。
如果是做杜比全景声游戏，那它的所需要的声音素材啊，以及前期的工作，会不会比做那个普通立体声游戏会有这种成倍的增加，或者是数量级的增加？
增加肯定是要增加一些的，但是它不会成倍的增加。比如说我们的点音源，
对，
平时我们做的是 mono 的，杜比全景声给了包括杜比全景声的这个开发工具啊，它只是让声音有了一个这样的曲线的一个过程，所以对于声音资源本身是没有什么工作量的增加的。当然，主要增加的工作量有可能在我看起来是这种氛围类的，比如说环境的思考我们会更多，然后当然环境的分层的这些元素我们都需要去制作，比如说在树林里边，以前我们可能就是一个立体声的环境就可以表达了，现在我们就要考虑低空的声音，然后中间的蝉鸣 头顶的鸟叫，对你这样的考虑之后，就像我刚才说的，这是一个全景声的思考方式。
对，
你这样思考方式呢，你就要做这样的素材。所以在我看起来，这还是一个比较轻松的一个升级工作。
Now, events like these wouldn't be possible without innovators in the space creating powerful new tools for game devs. Joining us live now is Matthew Reyes, a product manager with Dolby, to tell us more about Dolby Atmos for game development. Matthew, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm delighted and excited. Just the first portions of this has got me very excited. I was chatting away with friends and colleagues about how enthusiastic everybody seems and the good energy that I'm picking up from so far. So I'm really happy.
I'm happy you're happy, and it seems like chat's happy too. I'm seeing a lot of great responses to everyone's favorite game audio and sound effect instances, so it's been really cool so far.
Yep, so far.
For those who might not know, can you please tell us a little bit more about Dolby Atmos and how it can be utilized in gaming?
Sure. I think what's really fun from my perspective is that I'm trying to describe things to people about Dolby Atmos that game makers have known about for quite some time. The ability to have objects in a film, or now in music, and of course in games, the ability to have a thing that has a sound and a set of coordinates and other information attached to it is an invention in game engines that Dolby Atmos has been able to leverage and put across all the different technologies that we support, like I mentioned with, of course, in cinema, home theater, and music, and so forth. So what we've done here is we've taken the same principle that most game makers understand when they're creating spatial audio, and enabling it to work with our really good high-end endpoints, what we call our cell phones, right? Our Samsung devices, our modern iPhones. And so Atmos, what we've done is created a set of tools so that you can actually connect to these Atmos devices so that your job is easy. And that my job really is to find out where the pain points are, where it's difficult to make an Atmos a game or other piece of content, and then I'm here to make it easier.
Well, it seems like all of these teams this week are going to be testing the limits of what is possible with Dolby Atmos. So, what is the Dolby team the most excited to see in this jam?
Yeah, I think breaking things is one thing. We don't expect you to break anything, but we are excited to see to the limits that you push it, especially with the pressure of time and the pressure of creativeness, especially with the dynamic and the diversity of these teams. It's going to be really fun to see. I mean, I wish I could just sit in every team meeting and listen to how everybody's going to think things through. But I think really and ultimately the goal here is to really come up with ways to explain this. Explain how you thought, not necessarily the final product, but how you got there, how you think about an Atmos, how you're going to create something in Atmos, how you're going to use our tools, and how you can explain that creativity to other people who are interested, because there's a lot of interest in game devs in trying to use our tools and understand how to make an Atmos game. But we shouldn't be the ones that describe exactly how it's done, because it's a creative tool. It's a creative, there's a wide creative palette. So we're really looking for and really excited about with what I'm seeing at these teams is all of the different approaches that you would explain to other game devs how you think, how you would think about creating a game in Atmos with height channels, with enhanced surround immersiveness, and all the other benefits that Atmos brings.
And now these teams all have some experience in sound design when it comes to gaming, but they all seem to come from very different skill sets and walks of life, and we've got to meet some of them so far. What are some of your thoughts on the team so far?
Wow. So I have refused to play favorites, and that it was actually a very easy refusal, because when I've clicked through everybody's everybody's profiles that were sent out to us. I mean, to tell you, I was just blown away. I wanted to dig deeper and start like friending people on LinkedIn. I'll wait till after this is all done. But the point is that I'm really impressed with the range, and I don't see, I don't see the same game. I don't hear the same ideas coming out. And that's what I'm really excited about, is that there's going to be this rich set of different ideas, and that, like I said, I really wish I could be in all of the different meetings and see how the creative process plays out, because that will be the most entertaining and perhaps even the most valuable thing for everybody to walk away with, I
just
should
to
say.
see their different approaches to the
Different
software and
approaches.
how they'll be. It's going to be so
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, you see, let me just share a little bit on that. Is that we have a number of professional game studios, as you saw, Jackie Lee and Sean Zhao, and they work with 10-cent games. I mean, that's the biggest game publisher in the world, and so they're making some pretty big games, and they have a lot of titles that are in development right now. And so I don't want anybody to really be intimidated by that, because those are big pro games, but there's a reason why we've made this plugin free. The reason why I made it free is that I want everybody. I have a background in supporting the maker movement, and I worked with Maker Faire and getting people to build things and hackers and whatnot. And this is really an extension of that passion of mine. It's like, how do we take these tools to enable creativity? And that means indie developers, and it means everybody on this team and everybody else who's watching.
So this is a new frontier when it comes to game development. What advice would you give to our teams or any others out there that are interested in diving into Dolby Atmos?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we've seen, the biggest difficulty that we've seen is how to think about, especially when you're talking about, a mobile game. Yeah, just this is my day job, right? I have so many phones sitting around. How you think about the context of Atmos and height, and how you think about sound in 3D space. These are things that are not immediately obvious especially when talking about a mobile device. And so there's a graphic I just want to show real quick, and I'm not going to give like some lecture here, but I just want to show a graphic, and then I'm going to talk more about it in Discord. Yeah, there's different approaches to Atmos that you can think about, and I don't want everybody see in some of the other demo videos that you can have audio. You can. I'm sorry, I don't know if my audio cut out there, but one of the things I wanted to show about the graphic there is just that is that there are different sounds that you can actually leverage the tools to use. You can make things, not just footsteps, not just aircraft flying over, but you can make menu items, you can make weather, and you can do all sorts of different things. And I'll show this later in Discord. So, but I want everybody to think of different applications for audio, and using the height channels and using the immersiveness. It doesn't just have to be things like bullet effects or motion. It can be things as simple as really cool menu sounds and things like that.
This is so fascinating. I didn't even consider weather. And when you really think about all of the instances of sound in our daily lives, when you put it all on paper in front of you, it just really makes you realize how much we
Yeah,
experience.
if you have thunder, if you have birds, I mean, there's so many different sound elements that you can put in that can really just like capture somebody's imagination, because I've seen it when a game player is listening to a nice Atmos, whether actually any Atmos mix, whether it's cinema, music, or games, there's a reaction where like, where'd that come from? And that kind of mystery, that kind of experience really captures the game player, and that's what I'm excited to see.
It does. It pulls you in, and I myself, and I know many other people who fall asleep to game soundtracks and game atmospheres. So
You get it. Yeah,
there it is.
atmospheres, all of that is, what can you do that can enhance the dimensionality and immersiveness is the thing that happens, but it's the connection that that immersion brings. It is that convincing that you are that character avatar. It is that convincing that you are physically there, even if you're sitting on a train playing your game. Yeah, there's so many, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an adventure game. You could imagine a game like, I don't want to use other people's names, but think of like Tetris or Candy Crush. I mean, the sound of things falling. You could start at the height channel and drop down. I mean, there's so many different ways you can do it. So just think of it in these creative ways. Don't just think about it in some of the other examples of Atmos that may exist, for example, with Xbox and PC.
Absolutely. It's creating that connection. I think it was Eddie from Team Square earlier
Yeah.
who said that good music in a game gives him a slice of memory for that
Absolutely.
game, and it like preserves the memory. I thought that was so cool. Well, this has been super exciting, Matthew. Thank you so much for telling us all about what the possibilities are for Dolby Atmos. Where can people go to learn more information? You mentioned a Discord.
Yeah, there's so for people who are in the game jam, obviously get a hold of me in Discord. We have a bunch of folks, our colleagues that are monitoring, or we'll shepherd the questions out. But anybody else, if you go to the games.dolby.com website and you navigate down to where it says mobile, you'll see a contact form, and you fill out that form, and then we'll hear from you, and you'll hear back from us very quickly.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Matthew, for joining us again. It's been super exciting to pick your brain. You're obviously so excited about this, which makes us excited. That always
Very
comes
much so.
across so amazing. But yeah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with us. It's been a pleasure. Great meeting you.
Thank you. Great meeting you too. Thank you all, and good luck.
All right, that was so amazing. There's nothing I love more than when everyone is super excited about the software and they're just ready for people to use it. So thank you so much again, Matthew, for joining us. Now let's go meet our next team, Audio Talk.
I'm Alec, and I am working with John Korn and Vineet Shah. Together we are Team Audio Talk.
Hi, I'm John Korn. I juice games and make sure they're all nicely polished up. Just give tons and tons of feedback and effects and shiny art, and just feel really responsive and good.
My name is Vineet. Despite my best efforts, I've been coding for about 10 years now, and my favorite color is pink because YouTube told me it's not actually a color. And I also make video games.
I am a composer and interactive audio designer, and I like very slow video games. I direct a choir here in New York City, where I live with my girlfriend and our 2 cats.
So I joined the team because Alec asked me if I wanted to join the team, and I said, yeah, this sounds cool.
I met John from a playcrafting course that he was teaching, and through him met Alec, who is amazing.
3 words that best describe our team: cozy, manic, creative.
Are meticulous, dedicated, and chaotic.
What does great sound design bring to a game? So many things. Immersion, satisfaction, tension, relief. A good sound design can direct a player to their goal.
On both a macro level and a micro level, can prompt somebody to feel things that they certainly wouldn't feel with the sound off, and maybe even things that they've never felt before.
Brings depth to a game, right? It can make you feel a sense of place and scale.
Favorite game soundtrack, probably between Halo 2 because of the Mjolnir mix, Skyrim because everything, and Bastion is just, yeah, it's Bastion.
The Legend of Zelda as a series, that's sort of cheating.
My favorite game soundtrack would have to be Stardew Valley.
Personal goal during the jam, probably to understand the things that Alex says about sound. There's so much science and engineering behind it, and I would love to just immerse myself in Alex's genius for as long as I can.
Like every jam, it's just make something that's fun, and that's the most important part. Is it fun?
One piece of advice I would give to new creators aspiring to work in my craft. I would say there will always be somebody with better technical skills or more fluency with one tool or one style or whatever, but nobody can be more you than you.
And joining us now from Audio Talk is Alec. Alec, I absolutely love that last bit of advice that you left us with there. That was so nice.
Oh, great. Yeah, I can't remember exactly where I got that from. I want to say John Williams, but don't quote me on that. Just this idea that nobody's going to tell you to be more yourself, but if you remind yourself to be yourself, you're going to make good things. So it's an important thing to ground yourself in.
So inspiring, so honest. Yeah, don't compare yourself to others. Just make it come from the heart.
Yeah,
I
you
love
got
that.
this.
Devs
Yeah.
from this game jam, you take that to heart right now. So I would love to learn more about you and your team. So why don't we just start out with what your team is planning to build for this jam?
Yeah, so we came upon, I can't remember where this started, but we came upon the idea to do something involving pinball. It's obviously still in the early stages, but the thought is that a great way to involve spatial audio would be to basically surround the player with pinball machines, um, things that are sort of calling your attention at every moment, but they're all happening in slow motion. So you take actions on one machine, and then the way that the music and sound calls your attention to another machine will prompt you to swipe or perform some action so that you can go to another machine and do what you need to do there, play on that machine a little bit before going back. So it's a somewhat straightforward concept, but the hope is to make each machine fun, make each machine feel different, and use the sense of space effectively, so that it's very clear to you from the music and from the sound design when you need to direct your attention elsewhere. Also, we get to sort of make people feel like they're in a pinball arcade, which is something that spatial audio does really well.
I was just about to say, it sounds like you're bringing the arcade to us, which I'm totally okay with.
That's the plan. Yeah.
So what makes you so excited, or the most excited, about a jam centered around game sound?
Yeah. Well, it's exciting because it's an opportunity to play with a tool that I haven't used before, and that's always exciting because just trying something new can mean that some new creative spark occurs that you weren't, expecting. So I think we know what we have started to make, but who knows what interesting new directions just playing with this tool will bring us in. So I'm looking forward to that. And in general, just new spatial audio tools are just super fun for me. From a creative perspective, spatial audio is still such an unexplored frontier. So it's all these great tools are out there, and I constantly want to be using them more, and I wish other people would use them more. So it's exciting to be able to explore those boundaries a little bit and do something that not a ton of other people have done.
It's unexplored and can still add so much value to a game. So this is very exciting.
Yeah.
So what are some of your musical influences in gaming?
I could probably talk about this for like an hour, so feel free to stop me at any point. I think in that intro video I mentioned Zelda, so I don't have to get too into it, but that universe just musically feels larger than life. That kind of thing just makes you feel like you're experiencing something brand new, completely new. I also was hit pretty hard by Mass Effect, the first one. It was a lot of very simple synth music, but it did an excellent job at creating a sense of space and making me as a player feel really small in a really big universe. So that was big. And then I also really want to mention the Amanita design games, sort of something completely different. There's these puzzle games, point and click adventure games, Botanicula and Machinarium, and some others. They just those scores are really like sound designy, so it sort of like blends or blurs the threshold between like what is music and what is sound design. And it pulls in a lot of like organic sound sources, the kind of thing that I've enjoyed doing, working with John and Vinny, the other people on my team, and that's what we're doing here. In fact, I already this morning went to go sample a real pinball machine, so hoping to pull in some of those sounds.
There used to be a fantastic pinball arcade all the way downtown here in the city, and I don't think they survived
Yeah.
COVID, unfortunately, but that would have been a
Oh,
great place to get your
no.
audio. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know some of those still exist. I might have to do some of that this week, totally for research.
So I think you mentioned being a choir director. So what are some of your non-gaming musical influences?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is truly all over the place, but I'll try and be somewhat concise. I grew up, with John Williams, like the Star Wars composer, and so I could talk about that forever. But those were some of the earliest feelings of just like awe that I remember. I also have a lot of background in piano music, so so get real nerdy. But like Debussy and Ravel and Rachmaninoff are really huge for me. It's like all very dense, like harmonically dense music and emotional music. And yeah, I also spent a lot of my time on vocal music and choral music, pretty unconventional stuff. Just like any really tight like vocal harmony sticks with me a lot. There's some like minimal choral music by this composer John Tavener that just feels like really cosmic in scope, kind of like that Mass Effect score I was talking about. And then lastly, I'm thinking about artists like Kimbra and My Brightest Diamond or Bjork, who sort of take the voice to like completely new levels. They experiment with the combination of their own voice and digital signal processing or vocoders or synths. As like a sort of an extension of something organic, which I just have always thought was really inspiring. So, yeah, that's sort of the broad strokes.
It's always so interesting to hear people's music tastes. It's always such a look
It's
into their
all over the
mind.
place.
I I'm
Yeah, it's
a
such
former
a
lifelong
vulnerable
choir
activity.
kid. Former
Oh,
lifelong choir
nice.
kid, and I definitely have to say that any game audio that uses some form of like it sounds like a choral
Oh, yeah.
arrangement to that effect, usually from an RPG or something like that, I'm all over it. So it's a lot of
I am
Final
there.
Fantasy
Yeah,
music,
I
and I'm just
feel
like,
you.
yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So that's
great
awesome.
stuff.
So what are some challenges that you think might come up this week?
Yeah, good spatial audio, to me, or at least in my experience, has always been about like very subtle changes. Like I remember working on a VR game and spending just so much time on just like the attenuation, like the roll off of the sound over time and across space, and getting that really dialed in in a week, I think is going to be a challenge, especially when it's just like so much of this game will depend on how good it feels to move from like one pinball machine to another machine, and yeah, and also in general, just like um, keeping it. Keeping the amount of information, the amount of audio information balanced, so that you're never like overwhelming the player with information. So I find if there's too much spatial information to deal with, then my brain just sort of shuts off. I just don't know like where to turn my attention or what I'm supposed to feel or any of those things. It's just sort of a wash.
Sensory
So
overload.
keeping it exactly, yeah. So keeping it focused and keeping the amount of information balanced, positioned properly, all that stuff like takes some nuance. So I'm hoping that my past spatial audio experiences sort of help me out here. But anyway, I guess I'm framing all the challenges in terms of my challenges, because John and Vineet are just so thoroughly, consummately talented at building games. And we're great at working together. We work really naturally together. So I'm sure they have their own challenges that they're facing. But I know that John agrees with me. Basically, the idea is to make something simple and focused and fun, and thoughtful but fun, and have it feel good as quickly as possible.
Well, it sounds like you have a very strong team on your side. What are you most excited about accomplishing with them this week?
Yeah, I think it's just I'm just excited to have something after a week that feels good, that like feels good to play. It's never, I mean, not never, but it's really hard, with a game jam to get to a place where you like the core mechanic that you focus on feels really tight and good and fun. And so, yeah, that's I would be so excited to achieve that, to finish it with something that feels like we nailed our concept, and we thoroughly understood what we decided we would do, and we communicated well throughout the whole thing. That would be great, and I know we will. So yeah, it would mean a lot to me to just have something that feels, rich and satisfying and fun by the end of the week.
Well, you already sound super passionate about this project. I'm very excited to see what you all come up with this week.
Stoked.
Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. Good luck to you all this week.
Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Great having you, Alec. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much again for joining us, Alec. Next up is Team West Ghost.
We are Team West Ghost. I am Katie Figueroa, and I met Lily and Dahlia through a group I founded called SF Bay Area Women in Games. I worked with Isaiah on his indie project, Project Beanstalk.
My name's Isaiah Johnson, and I'm the acting programmer and project manager for Team West Ghost.
Hi, my name is Lily. I'm a developer, software engineer, programmer.
So I'm a recording artist and also a student of Unity development and game design. And so I'll be wearing a few hats as well as being the sound designer for this game.
I just really like music that makes good use of stereo imaging.
Sound is a very immersive experience. It really makes cinema what it is today, and I'm glad that it's also taking a central role in gaming for the same reason. Games are art.
Where do I want to see mobile games go in the future? I want to see more opportunities for mobile game developers to have a spotlight.
I just really would like to see better ways of monetizing the game, kind of leaving more room for artistic expression.
I see mobile games as being more accessible to all in the future. I think it's great that mobile gaming is becoming so immersive, a more narrative experience, and taking us on an adventure and a journey. If you have to pull yourself through a deadline, my advice is don't forget to drink water, don't forget to get fresh air, step back for a minute, and don't be afraid to reprioritize. Get the core things done first, and you'll thank yourself.
I think, in all honesty, a lot of deadline slipping is kind of usually bad planning or scope creep, or something kind of went wrong on the planning level of the project.
Whenever I'm faced with a deadline, it helps to have all of my tasks on a list.
I think the reason why I wanted to work in gaming is just it's always been very dear to me. Wanting to make games just felt like a natural fit, I suppose. It's like I want to give back to the community that helped me through a tough time, I suppose.
So I've loved games and game music since I was a child. It was my thing. And I love the intensity of working on a game jam, because you might be working together with new people, you might be working together with people you know, but in a new way. And there's just so much creative freedom, and so it's really exciting.
If I were to give some advice to someone new in the game industry, it'd be to network. Make sure you're networking, meeting new people, surrounding yourself with people you can learn from. And yeah, don't be afraid to reach out.
The advice I'd give to people who are just getting started with, making their own games, like the hardest part is starting it, and then once you kind of have it in place, you can just come back to it whenever you get the chance. So yeah, best time to start it is now.
And joining me now from West Coast is Isaiah Johnson. Isaiah, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for sitting with me and having a little chat here. I loved your video. You all seem like you're very passionate about this, and so I'd love to learn more about you all as a team. So can you tell me a little bit about what you're planning to build for this jam?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, so we are Team West Ghost in this game jam, and we're actually working on a horror game about a girl who loses her cat on a camping trip. Your goal is to solve a bunch of different puzzles and mysteries in order to figure out who stole your cat and why.
There is nothing I love more than a good horror puzzle game, so I am already listening. That sounds like a very interesting application of sound. So what makes you most excited about a jam centered around game sound? How do you expect to sort of use sound with this idea?
Yeah. Well, we have our sound designers working on the how we're going to be applying the sounds, but for me in this game jam, sound has improved the quality of games a lot since early game days, games like Pong and whatnot. I feel like this game jam is a bit of a science experiment on how we can improve the future of game experiences through different sound technologies. So I'm really happy to be in this nice little sandbox, this nice play environment to see, what our sound's going to look like in the future.
Just laying the groundwork, nothing serious, just casually.
Mhm.
I understand that you have something called Project Beanstalk. Can you please tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh yeah, Project Beanstalk is a studio that I've actually founded and am running at the moment. It's a video game company I founded to bring diversity into the video game industry. Creating video games that teach people, that we're people from different cultures are a lot more than just their stereotypes, representing different groups for much more than what we've seen in stereotypical media.
That's amazing. So what are some of the initiatives that you take with Project Beanstalk?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right now we're actually working on a game called Heart to Heart, teaching people what to do when someone is depressed, angry, or experiencing anxiety. Where it's kind of like we are teaching people that, we live in a society where people don't exactly care about the mental others. If you're stressed and you go and talk to somebody, they're more than likely to react in a way that makes you more upset. So it's like, how can we approach discussion in a way that isn't toxic? And how can we sort of treat ourselves with the respect that we can't always expect from others?
That actually sounds really lovely and definitely something that a lot of people could use right now. I mean, you spoke a little bit about what inspired you to start Project Beanstalk. What inspired you to pick this game specifically to start working on?
Oh, I would say a lot of it's definitely the people, a few folks from our local Bay Area Women in Games. I'm friends with, I say our project leader, Katie, has been a mentor to me for quite a long time. She asked me if I wanted to be a part of this project. I was super thrilled about it. Then when we actually got into the ideation, the project planning, I'm like, oh yeah, this game sounds amazing. I am excited to be a part of it.
That's super exciting. So what are some challenges you think you might face this upcoming week while you work on this game?
Our biggest challenge, of course, will just be the fact on a really short time frame, but I feel like I have a decent amount of project management experience to get us to work on a solid demo in a short amount of time.
Okay, and then what do you think you are most excited to accomplish with your team this week?
Oh, this week, that is pretty specific. This week,
Yes.
I definitely like to In the more short term, I'd love to get our back end, our groundwork going, just a perfect something where we can hit the ground running. We already worked pretty hard, so we have a good idea of what the story should be, a pretty decent idea about the art direction. Now it's kind of like just scheduling everything out and getting a decent demo build ready.
Well, we certainly can't wait to see what you come up with, and I'm very invested now that I know that it's a horror game because I am a little biased in that regard. But thank you so much, Isaiah, for sitting down and speaking with me a little bit tonight. We have made sure to link to Project Beanstalk in the chat. So if anyone watching would like to learn more, we've made sure to link to the Project Beanstalk website. Good luck to you, Isaiah, and your team this jam.
Thank you as well. If I may I actually drop our Team West Ghost Twitter in the chat as well?
Absolutely. And if you can't do it, then we can definitely do it from the Playcrafting channel. I know there might be permissions on chat, but I think
Sounds
we can get
perfect.
that going for you. Yeah.
There you go. Oh, ignore that extra
Okay.
W, but that's it for me. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, Isaiah. It was great meeting you. We'll get your Twitter in the chat. Don't worry. All right. Thank you so much again, Isaiah. Now, before we meet our last team, let's check out this video on how QQ Speed has implemented Dolby Atmos to create a can't-miss racing experience.
QQ 飞车是由天美工作室群研发运营的竞速游戏，迄今为止，端游和手游累计 IP 用户数已经超过了7亿。那作为一款定位是听着歌开车的竞速游戏，我们会挑选并推送给玩家当下最流行的音乐。坊间还有你不开声音就玩不好 QQ 飞车的传闻，其实我们从设计方面最初就已经把 QQ 飞车的声音和玩法手感做了紧密的结合。只要你掌握好刹车和氮气的声音节奏，就能更精准地掌握游戏操作的节奏，从而赢得比赛。杜比 Atmos 技术让手机的听感空间变得更宽容，这使得游戏的声音内容可以更加的丰富，音乐、音效、语音的摆位也可以有更多的想象空间。那基于 QQ 飞车本身的关卡和玩法设计，我们借助杜比的全景声，让游戏的赛道场景变得更加生动和真实。玩家在玩游戏的过程中，可以非常自然地感受到各种各样的元素，大海、岩浆、沙漠、战舰，以及身后的直升机盘旋、车辆在海面飞跃时浪花拍打这种扑面而来的声音，偶尔还有战斗机从你的头顶呼啸而过。这些声音的方位感和画面完美的融合，能够进一步的提升赛车带给玩家的紧张和刺激的感觉。在追击模式中，玩家会分成2个阵营进行追逐。我们借助 Atmos 的声像表现，可以很清楚地知道对方从哪个方向来追我，他离我还有多远。当我被包围的时候，也可以很明显地感觉到紧张和临场的压迫感。可以说 Atmos 技术不仅为我们的声音设计师带来了设计思路的提升，也让玩家在体验上有着非常积极的作用，很受玩家欢迎。杜比团队及其合作伙伴8082团队不仅在音频技术的底层逻辑上给予我们充分的支持，也在 WS 和 Unity 的插件接入上、后续迭代和 debug 的环节积极的协助我们，最大限度地保证了 Atmos 全景声效果在游戏中的稳定运行。同时他们也非常乐意与我们分享全景声领域的一些新思路，从而让我们在更多的维度去探索声音设计的可能性和突破点。在这里非常感谢杜比团队和8082团队。
And now let's meet our final team, Haversine Collective.
We are Haversine Collective, comprised of myself, Dominique Starr, Megan Carnes, and Color Fiction. 3 words I would use to describe our team are multifaceted, empathetic, and curious.
I would say that our team is creative, musical, and indie, very indie.
I met Megan as part of Game Audio LA.
We were both kind of making these weird, unique, interesting sort of games / interactive experiences centered around music. So then David reached out to me about this game jam and joining his team, and I thought it sounded awesome.
So Dominique and I do a lot of stuff with interactive song-based games, such as Evergreen Blues. Megan does a lot of really cool interactive music and audio systems and experiences. She's working on a game called Divinuette. And Color Fiction makes a lot of really cool, kind of atmospheric, interdimensional, sometimes surreal games and experiences, such as 0 Degrees North, 0 Degrees West, and Be Calm.
I would say that great sound design brings life to a game. You can have a game that's basically finished with all the animations and everything, and without sound it still feels a little bit lifeless.
Great sound design transports the player to another world and makes them feel powerful emotions.
My favorite game soundtrack is the Child of Light score by Kier de Pira.
My favorite game soundtrack is probably Grim Fandango. Some uses of sound design in video games that really stuck out to me are Hellblade, especially the way the inner voices really reinforce the narrative, and also Genesis Noir in the creativity of all of the musical game mechanics.
The coin sound in the early Mario games, it's just so simple but so effective, and everyone knows what it sounds like.
Personal goal of mine for the jam is to get more familiar with Dolby Atmos technology, and also just to make a fun game, have a great time.
So I've done a lot of interactive music, but I'm really excited to play around with music in a spatial way, because I've really only done things with, stereo panning.
One piece of advice I would give to new creators is that everyone has their own journey, and it's always a work in progress.
Just really take the time to play a lot of games and just really listen to the music. Like, just sit in a level for a while and just listen to what's happening musically.
And joining me now from Haversign Collective is David Sue. David, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks so much for having us.
Now, I would like to start with how you came up with the name of your team, Haversign Collective.
So Haversign is it's like the shortest distance between 2 points on a sphere, so kind of like an airplane path. And I don't remember, I came across it in an article online or something and just thought it sounded cool. And also sine waves are such a fundamental part of digital audio and games and kind of nature, so kind of felt like a cool name for us.
It's very memorable. I love it.
Thank you.
Can you tell us just a little bit about what you'll be building this week for the jam?
Yeah. So we're making a musical narrative exploration game about the last songs of dying gods. So you kind of play as this interstellar archivist, and you have to kind of record or transcribe all the god songs before they get forgotten. And so all the different gods are in different spaces and moving around you. And so we're gonna, use Dolby Atmos to spatialize all that and hopefully make it a really cool experience.
That sounds stunning. My goodness. I love
Thanks.
hearing these ideas. They're all so unique. That is seriously so beautiful. What makes you most excited about a jam centered around game sound, especially for something like this application of it?
Yeah, I mean, sound is as I think everyone has mentioned, it's such an integral part of the gameplay experience. So it's always great to just have a spotlight on that. For me personally, I got into game development through music and audio. So it's always near and dear to my heart. And I feel like game jams in general are a really great place to just experiment and innovate, and kind of this in particular, finding interesting ways of creating music and audio experiences and interactions is just really exciting.
So your team is pretty unique because a lot of our teams have one team member focused on audio, but your team has a bunch of teammates with expertise in that area. So what advantages do you think will come from having so many audio-driven developers on the team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think because we all have experience working in sort of different aspects of game audio, there's this kind of like shared language or like shared well that we can all like draw upon, which I think is going to make collaborating super fun. It's kind of just like, I guess, like being in a band where, you each play your own instrument, but you're all like playing music at the end of the day. Yeah, and also like all of us are like game developers as well. I think, yeah, like none of us only do music, so like I think we all have a good eye for like the fact that it's a music audio driven game, but ultimately the sound is there to serve like the player experience.
Absolutely. And so, the other side of that question would be, do you see any challenges that might come from having so many audio-driven developers on the team?
Yeah, I think like there's always the risk of like too many cooks in the kitchen. But I feel like we're all like differentiated enough that we can like apply different skills to the project and learn from each other. There is also like this element of like when I don't know, if you have like too much experience with something, you can get like caught in the trappings of like tradition or just like comfort zones, I guess.
Sure.
But I think like because Atmos is such like a fresh new technology, it's gonna keep us on our toes.
Now, I heard in the video that you mentioned Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, which was, for me, one of the most unique applications of in-game sound I had witnessed in a long time. There was that whole portion where you had to rely on sound to get you out of a really dangerous situation. And your description of the game you'd like to work on this week with the old gods and everything, it just sounds so close to that. Like, was that a little bit of an inspiration for you when you were thinking about this?
That's interesting. We aren't really thinking of it that much as a reference. I think because in Hellblade there's a lot of that stuff is driven by like, you have like the whispering voices and like like crazy sound effects. And so I guess in a way like that's sort of like probably percolated through our consciousnesses. But I think we're taking more of like a musical, I don't know, perspective on all of that.
I love the musical perspective of that, as I've mentioned many times, a little bit of a music nerd, so I'm very excited to see this. So what are some other challenges you think might come up this week?
I think just like making sure that that things don't like blow up in scope is always tough in any game project because there are so many possibilities. That's probably the big one. Maybe also like just any kind of like 11th hour bugs or issues that come up. Like I feel like no matter how well you try to plan things, something always comes up, and it's just part of the process.
It's inevitable, but it's part of the fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What are you most looking forward to accomplishing with your team this week?
Definitely like as we mentioned, just exploring this awesome Dolby tech and getting like a better grasp of the technical details and creative possibilities. And it's actually the first time we've all collaborated as a group. So like we're all excited just to, have fun, make a cool game together. And also really interested in what all of the other teams come up with, like everyone's project. It sounds super inspiring.
I can already tell that each game is going to have its own personality, and I'm very excited to see what you and your team come up with. David, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It was so wonderful meeting you, and good luck
Thanks
this
so much.
week.
Likewise, Holly. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our team introductions here. I would like to thank all of the devs who took time out of their busy schedules to sit down and chat with me. Now I'd like to just go over the schedule for this game jam here. So this is obviously the kickoff stream, and this jam will be running from December 1st to December 8th. If you'd like to check out Playcrafting socials, you can actually see progress of the teams during this upcoming week. You can find them on Twitter at Playcrafting, and then make sure you come right back here to the Playcrafting Twitch so that you can see the closing stream on December 14th, which is the most exciting one because that's when we actually get to see the fruits of labor and hard work and dedication and sleepless nights that all of these devs just put into over this crazy week. So once again, thank you to the devs, to Matthew Reyes for stopping by and telling us all about Dolby Atmos. Thank you to Dolby Atmos and Playcrafting for powering this stream. Once again, make sure you're following Playcrafting at Playcrafting on Twitter so that you don't miss a second of this. I believe we've linked some of the dev Twitters in the chat. You definitely want to make sure that you're following them so you can see the progress this upcoming week. And bring it right back here for December 14th closing stream, and we can have so much fun getting to see all of these amazing games together. So I think that's going to do it for us for tonight. Thank you to you, everyone who watched and chatted. I had so much fun seeing everyone's favorite games and soundtracks and sound effects, and I feel like this was a very fun little bonding experience for all of us. So this has been the Dolby Atmos Step Up Your Sound Game Jam powered by Dolby Atmos and Playcrafting. I'm Holly Peppermint. Have a good night.